Let us remember that there is a creative force in this universe, a power that is able to make a way out of no way and transform dark yesterdays into bright tomorrows. Let us realize that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice.
There is a tendency to think that what we see in the present moment will continue. We forget how often we've been astonished by the sudden crumbling of institutions, by extraordinary changes in people's thoughts, by unexpected eruptions of rebellion against tyrannies, by the quick collapse of systems of power that seemed invincible. What leaps out from the history of the past 100 years is its utter unpredictability.
Demonstrations in Russia were totally illegal. After 1 second holding the banner in front of you, you would be arrested. But we did it once, and we did it twice, and then we did it 3 times, and a year later, demonstrations were a common thing on the streets of Moscow. We didn't believe that we can change anything, but we did it anyway.
Después de muchos siglos de guerra en Europa, ¿quién hubiera imaginado el surgimiento de la potencia política y económica que es hoy la Unión Europea? En un país con una historia de esclavitud y segregación, ¿quién hubiera predicho que un hombre de raza negra podría ser electo como presidente? ¿O que una nación públicamente pediría perdón por las injusticias que cometió contra sus pueblos originarios indígenas?
We apologize for the laws and policies of successive parliaments and governments that have inflicted profound grief, suffering and loss on these our fellow Australians. For the pain, suffering and hurt of these stolen generations, we say sorry.
Many, many years ago, I interviewed Desmond Tutu prior to the end of apartheid. And he kept saying, when we end apartheid, and I kept thinking, yeah, right, dream on. I mean, I didn't want to, rain on his parade or anything, but in my heart of hearts, I thought, not in your lifetime. And lo and behold, a year and a half later, it was over. So it was a really profound lesson about what can happen when the will of people aligns.
We have defeated awful things like Nazism, like communism, like apartheid. And we've seen some wonderful human beings, Mahatma Gandhi, the Dalai Lama, Mother Teresa. What that says is that ultimately good prevails. It is a moral universe, despite all appearances to the contrary. It is that there's no way in which evil will ultimately triumph.
We sit at a point in time which is extraordinarily pregnant with possibilities. And what's really important is that we shift our thinking from being focused on probabilities, as in, what's the probability that we'll have runaway climate change, to possibilities. And so once you start to look at possibilities, then there's huge energy that is unlocked from that.
Nuevas posibilidades para el futuro están emergiendo en todos los sectores de la sociedad, en el gobierno nacional e internacional, en las empresas y el comercio, y en el sinfín de organizaciones de la sociedad civil. Ahora, gobiernos por todo el mundo están empezando a responder a nuestros desafíos mundiales.
But the proposals published today are the first time we've set out a comprehensive plan for carbon across every sector.
Islandia, Nueva Zelanda, Noruega y Costa Rica están compitiendo para convertirse en la primera nación industrializada del mundo que tenga una producción de carbono completamente neutra.
El Ecuador es el primer país en el mundo en reconocer los derechos de la naturaleza en su constitución. En reconocer los derechos de la naturaleza significa tratar a la naturaleza como un alien a quien proteger y no como un algo que se destruye, que se explota.
Los Objetivos de Desarrollo para el Milenio de la Organización de las Naciones Unidas representan un esfuerzo mundial para acabar con el hambre y la pobreza para el año 2015. Empresas y corporaciones están dándose cuenta que el éxito en el siglo XXI significa poner atención en 3 asuntos fundamentales: la gente, el planeta y las ganancias.
The world's largest corporation has announced aspirational goals to be 100% renewable energy, zero waste, and sell only sustainable products. 60 to 90,000 companies that sell products to Walmart will now have to show that they are measuring and tracking their carbon footprint and beginning to reduce it.
El terreno económico se está reinventando con nuevos trabajos verdes.
We give them the tools and the training and the technology, they can retrofit a nation.
A lot of people think that trash is inevitable. It's one of those necessary evils of life, but that's not true. Waste is actually the product of bad design, and bad design can be changed.
El diseño innovador también está creando soluciones de baja tecnología para el mundo en vías de desarrollo. En todas partes del planeta, en ciudades y pueblos, suburbios y aldeas, se está dando a conocer un fenómeno mundial vasto y sin precedente.
There is another superpower here on Earth. That is an unnamed movement. It is far different and bigger and more unique than anything we have ever seen. It flies under the radar of the media by and large. It is nonviolent. It is grassroots. It has no cluster bombs, no armies, and no helicopters. It has no central ideology. A male vertebrate is not in charge. This unnamed movement, you can clap for that. The very word movement is too small to describe it. This is humanity's immune response to resist and heal political disease, economic infection, and ecological corruption caused by ideologies. This is fundamentally a civil rights movement, a human rights movement. This is a democracy movement. It is the coming world. What you're seeing here is the beginning of a list of the 2 million organizations in the world that work towards social and environmental justice. And that's a minimum. To give you a sense of how big this movement is, if I start this tape today at 9 a.m. and we watch this all day and all night, and the day after that, and then we watch it for 3 more weeks, and then another month after that, we still would not have seen the names of all the groups in the world. It's the largest social movement in the history of humankind by far.
Al centro de la transición a un nuevo mundo hay comunidades, familias e individuos que están cambiando la manera en que viven, realizando nuevas elecciones basadas en los valores que apoyan la creación de una sociedad más sustentable, justa y plena.
When we think about global warming, we think about transportation, we think about how we heat our houses, but in fact how we eat has just as big an impact on climate change.
Algo que impulsa este fenómeno global es la explosiva revolución digital que está revelando y conectando una comunidad humana planetaria.
This generation is much more powerful than our generation was, technology-wise, information-wise. Little kid runs to Google, find out what is the latest, and challenge everybody else because he or she has the latest information.
People can now be connected nationwide to act locally in their communities and then have all that local action united into one synchronized, beautiful, harmonic voice.
The only voice we have is this video editing. We don't know books, so we can't write much. But if we are able to do a small film of what is happening to us, it will go to the internet and the whole world will see it.
Gente despierta y comprometida está descubriendo que un nuevo futuro es posible y están convirtiéndose en quienes necesitan ser para hacerlo realidad juntos.